and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reading and annotating a nonfiction book. Like I'm sure you guys got from the title of the video and like my little intro there. Today, I'm going to be reading a little outside of my usual comfort zone, and we're going to be diving into a nonfiction book. Typically not my usual genre, but I thought that it would be kind of fun. I really want to push myself this year to read more nonfiction because I used to do it sporadically, but like just not ever record it and would not like push myself to finish it. I usually would read nonfiction while I was reading fiction. I don't usually do two books at once, but I would usually have a nonfiction book going like in the background while I was reading a fiction book, and I would just read like 2 or 3 chapters every like week or so and like finish them really slowly. But I've since stopped doing that since I've started reading more and more, and I feel like I want to get back into actually reading like nonfiction like again and kind of just like throwing it in my cycle of books that I'm like actively reading. So the book that we're going to be picking up is actually one that I got during Independent Bookstore Day not last week, 2 weeks ago. So in this one, we are kind of diving into girlhood, pop culture, and a lot of things that were like prevalent in the early 2000s. And I feel like that bit of nostalgia is going to make me actually intrigued to read it more because I do find that time period really interesting and a lot of the things that were going on that like none of us really questioned. I think that that's super interesting and super fun to kind of go back and talk about. And so I decided to go ahead and bring you guys along my little journey. I grabbed some of my annotation supplies too, since I keep getting annotation stuff at like my book events. So I figured this might be a good time to go ahead and like highlight, underline, make some little tabs and kind of see like how this goes. Annotate, because I'm also not a big annotating girly. Wish I was, because the annotation supplies are really stinking cute. But I've never really been an annotator. So we're going to give it a go and see how it goes. I'm giving myself 48 hours. I think in a weekend, I can go ahead and start this book, be annotating it, and hopefully finish it. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, awesome. So I am back, finished Girl on Girl earlier this morning. It is Sunday afternoon. So it took me basically like a day and a half to finish. It's not a terribly big book. I think it's like 280 pages once you like take out all the like extra notes and the extra, index stuff. Yeah. So the actual book itself is only 284 pages. So not terribly big. I did make some good annotations. I was kind of going through as I was reading and just like highlighting or underlining stuff depending on what was closest. So like this time I had my pen closest. Another time it was just easier to highlight. Yeah, I highlighted a little bit here. And then after every like break in it, like it was kind of organized into chapters based on different types of media and like different events. And so sometimes there were little breaks in the chapters, and that's when I would write kind of not like a summary, but like I would summarize what I was getting out of that section of the book. So I like, let's take a peek. Like the first chapter, I think, is about music in the 1990s. And so like I went through and I was like highlighting, but I really just only put in like big notes at the end of the section of like kind of what I felt was a big major takeaway of that section. I'm not gonna like read this again. That sounds so mean. But I'm not like a big rereader, and especially the fact that it's nonfiction, I'm definitely not going to be rereading this again, like unless I absolutely had to. But some of the things that I underlined and highlighted, I do kind of like think I would look back on. I did end up using a couple of different colored tabs. I know some people don't put meaning to their tabs, but that kind of bothers me. So I put meaning to all of my tabs. So pink is girl power, red is mentions of the Me Too movement, and then purple was like new words that were like being defined, or not even new words, just like words that the author like felt the need to define. And so like she put in like a section on intersectionality in the like music section and like defined it there, and then it pops up again later in a different section. And so I just thought that was very interesting. Like we'd already like set up kind of like a definition of it, and then we're bringing it back around when defining a different word. So I thought that was super interesting and really cool. Overall, I don't feel like rating this because again, I feel weird rating nonfiction. I don't know. Do you guys rate your nonfiction? Because like it's fact. I can't say like, oh, I hated this. This sucks. It's the truth. Like I do hate it and it does suck, but it's what happened. So yeah, I really enjoyed how it was kind of like arranged. Like I said, each chapter kind of goes into detail more for a particular like reference in culture. There was a chapter on music, there was a chapter on movies, there was a chapter on like the show Girls and how like TV was playing a major role in things changing in the later part of the 2010s. And I thought that was super interesting. And so I feel like overall, I really enjoyed it, but like it did still kind of like suck to read about. There was a big emphasis on like reality TV, which I was not really expecting. Like I didn't think of how much reality TV has kind of shaped pop culture and like our relationship to celebrities. Like that was a really big theme that I noticed appear pretty regularly on like different chapters. Like there was obviously a chapter on reality TV, but it kept popping up as like how we like viewed celebrities and how we view like becoming a celebrity. And I thought that was really interesting and really like a different look on it that I'd never thought of, since reality TV kind of was coming up in the early 2000s. So that was super interesting to focus on. We talked about the like girl boss revolution and how like MLMs and like also those like monthly subscription services like just Fabletics, Savage X Fenty has one now where like you think you're just buying like a product and it's like no, you're locked in for this like $40 a month subscription. You're like committed to this now. Might as well like get your money's worth and keep buying product from these people. And so I thought that was a really interesting kind of like take on it, because I had never really thought of that being a uniquely woman experience, but all of the companies that do that are companies for women. So I thought that was very interesting and like a very like unique look into it. Like I said, it touched on a lot of reality TV stuff, but another thing that it talked a lot about was actually porn, which I was not expecting it to talk about like at all. There's a chapter in here on like art, like actual like photography, painting, sculpture, and like she literally talked about how like that was pushing the boundary so much harder. And so like if that was what you could get for free, like you had to get crazier and more wild with what people were paying for. And I was like, I'd never thought of it that way. And so like it became like a like race of like who could like outpace what was like more daring and what was more like pushing envelopes and pushing boundaries and what was more like scandalous without taking it too far. And it was just kind of like a rat race going on like underground, and that bled into like so many other areas of culture. And I thought that was super interesting and super like unique take. So overall, I did really enjoy it. Like I said, I'm probably just gonna put this in like my living room and just have it as like a little coffee table kind of book, because I don't really have a spot on my bookshelves right now for true nonfiction. I literally think the only other nonfiction book that I own right now is Cultish, and then I own the Try Guys book from when the Try Guys wrote a book. So if you guys ever want me to read the Try Guys book, I haven't read that one yet, so that could be my next trying to become a nonfiction girly video, because at this point I am not convinced that I'm a nonfiction girl. I think I like fiction too much. I like my fantasy. I like my dragons. I like my unrealistic expectations. I don't like being reminded that society is terrible and capitalism is going to ruin us all. But overall, still really enjoyed this book. I will not be including this in my like May wrap up, just because like it is getting like her literal own video. So when my May wrap up comes out, I'm just not even gonna like mention it, because I'm not giving it a rating. I'm not really giving it much beyond like a like, yeah, you go. Like, I'm not really like reviewing it that hard. So it's not going to be included in my May wrap up, but just know she's read, she's here. I had a good enough time, but still not convinced to become a nonfiction girl. So we'll see. Maybe I will get bored and venture into the Try Guys book that I have, because that one's like all about like their failures and stuff. And if I remember correctly, they each have like a section of the book. So it's not like a book where it's like ghost written and like it tells all of their stories after like an interview, where it feels kind of like a magazine article. This one's legit like they each have a section of the book. So we'll see. That might be fun and interesting. So maybe I will do that for a video in the future. But if you make it to the end of the video, leave the pink heart emoji. That sounds super fun. Leave the pink heart emoji, and I will see you guys in the next one real soon. Bye. Hi, hello, and welcome to today's video. In today's, why did I say it like that? Hi, hello, and welcome to my, I don't like that I look down. And we're going to be diving into a nonfiction book. Okay, here we go. And we're going to be diving, so typically not my usual genre. Let me move those things. Yes, so this one we are talking about, what are we talking about? Okay, this one, I made myself a little script and I'm going off script so bad. And so I decided I'm going to stop looking down. Okay, I think that's a good enough intro. Is it too low, do you think? Let me move it up a little bit. Okay, I think that's a little better. Yeah. Because we did not want to hear it. I say that like I talked to the author. What was I going to say?